Quick disclaimer. This weekly Power Rankings episode is going to incorporate the last 2 weeks, not just week 9, but week 8 and week 9 into one Power Rankings episode. So the Saints are going to kick us off here at number 32. They're down 8 spots. I mean, since week 2 has concluded, they've been one of the worst teams in the league. And it's funny. It's weird. The first 2 weeks, they were like the best, the most dominant. Now it's week 10. Head coach fired. They've had a couple quarterback changes. Offensive line has a couple of injuries to it. The defense is playing like crap. And you don't help your case by losing to the Carolina Panthers, widely regarded as one of the worst teams in the league. And now, I think many people will agree with me that the Saints are the worst team in the NFL. So, yeah. Saints down here at number 32. They've had a rough go. Losing to the Panthers does not help their case. It's just bizarre. But at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, the first 2, 3, sometimes even 4 weeks, you don't really get to, the full, the record doesn't show the full story, or the first couple weeks just isn't, a good indicator of how the rest of the season's going to go. The Saints, perfect example. They're into that full-on rebuild, finally getting out of that Sean Payton era, getting rid of Dennis Allen and moving on. And yeah, it felt like they've been trying to really put this rebuild off as long as they could and just not have that tank season. Well, Saints fans, it's here. It's here. I do love Spencer Rattler, though. I do think, whether he stays here or he goes someplace else, I think Rattler put him in a good situation. I think Rattler can be a future top 10 quarterback, top 10, top 15, or just a game changer at quarterback in general. Number 31, you have the New England Patriots moving up 1 spot. I mean, their offense has been looking better under Drake May. Drake May has taken command. Seems like he's reading the defenses a little better. Even though the Patriots, they don't really have too much on paper. Drake May can't do it all by himself. But Drake May, regardless of all that, he's looked pretty good, man. He hasn't looked too bad. And, I think this season is really just a season for the Patriots of, the Drake May season. What is he going to show us? How much is he going to develop? And he's proved me wrong so far. He's looked a lot better than what I thought he would, especially this early on even. And I didn't really think he was going to be the future regardless. But this early on, May's looking pretty good. So give props to May. They are moving up 1 spot after the win over Tennessee. And Tennessee's defense is no joke either. That's a good defense. It is a very good defense. So props to Drake May. Props to the Patriots getting that win. Moving up 1 spot. Panthers are up 1 spot. Yeah. I think every team in the league has 2 wins by now, which is pretty crazy for week 10. Honestly, it always feels like there's a team that's by week 10. We're still waiting for that one team just to get that one win in. That's kind of how it feels. But hey, every team has at least 2 wins. But that doesn't mean they're very good. And, the Panthers, they're not very good. But I will say Bryce Young has looked better as of late. I say since he's come back from being benched, I think Bryce Young has actually looked all right, to be honest with you. I don't think he's been that horrible. He's got some weapons. It feels like he's reading the field a little bit better. It just seems like he has a little more confidence once again. So Panthers are up 1 spot. Nice win over the Saints, 30. It's probably the farthest up they've been since sometime last year, or maybe sometime before last year. I don't even know, to be honest with you. But let's see if the Panthers can string a couple of games together here. At 29, you have the Raiders staying put. The game kind of went as expected for me. The Bengals beat them up. The Raiders offense couldn't really do too much. Remember, the Raiders are just kind of the Raiders at this point. Gardner Minshew, he has his good games, but he's not gonna wow you. He's not gonna win you any games on his own. More of a game manager, not really a game changer. So the Raiders really staying put. Don't really feel the need to move them below any of these teams. Probably could move them below the Panthers and the Patriots. Maybe should have. But I'm going to keep them at 29 for now. 28, I have the Jaguars moving up 2 spots. So you're probably going to yourself, why are you moving up the Jaguars 2 spots when they've lost 2 in a row? Well, they played two really good teams, and they put up some pretty good fights against those two teams. Now, they did lose. In the end, they did lose, yes. But they put up some really good fights against two teams. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt there. Doesn't matter who you play. Record isn't 100% everything when it comes to these power rankings. It's a week-to-week basis. It's not, I'm not predicting. I'm giving you who the best is, where teams belong right now. It's a big puzzle piece. And the Jaguars, they found ways to be competitive against some of the better teams in the NFL. Packers are one of the better teams in the NFL. And the Eagles are on the ascent. They're figuring out ways. I think they figured something out. And the Jaguars, they kept it pretty close. They gave them a little bit of run for their money at the end, both of those teams. So, yeah, I'm moving the Jaguars up 2 spots just because of that. Dolphins are up 1 spot. They lost 2. They're on a 2-game losing streak as well. But I moved them up a little bit because they put up a really good game against the Bills. The Bills have been one of the most dominant teams in the league. And I do believe they are one of the most, if not the most dominant teams in the league. And the Dolphins, they put up a good fight. Tua looked good. Weapons looked good. Ultimately, in the end, you just lost a crazy 61-yard field goal. But yeah, that's all I got for you. I'm just moving up 1 spot because they put up a really good fight against the Bills. But then they lost to the Colts a week ago. I mean, yeah, they didn't have Tua, so Tua definitely makes a difference. So, will the Dolphins continue to rise up here with Tua? Will they put together a little winning streak? Maybe put themselves back in that AFC playoff picture conversation? I can see it. Tua is that good. Issue is their offensive line. The Dolphins' defense has been good at times. They've been bad at times. So let's see what this Dolphins team has on the stretch. But currently they're at 27. 26, Titans, staying put. We know what they are. You know what I mean? Like, Mason Rudolph is what he is. Tony Pollard, he's no Derrick Henry, but he's solid. The defense is very good. The offensive line is pretty good. The quarterback situation isn't very good. Calvin Ridley gave you a couple of nice plays a game. And that's really all they got. But Titans stay put at 26. Browns, they're moving up 2 spots. Don't forget, I am including the last 2 weeks. And the Browns, they're up 2 spots because they beat the Ravens. Yeah, I mean, last week, versus the Chargers, you really crapped the bed. But, hey, they beat the Ravens a couple weeks ago. Now, is it one of those situations where, like, hey, the Browns are really good now? No. It was a divisional game. Wacky things happen. They caught the Ravens on a bad day. And, yeah. So, they were really moved up quite a bit from that. But then, go to a Browns and Browns. Looks like the Browns against the Chargers. So. But they're moving up 2 spots because of the win versus the Ravens. That helps them out a little bit. But they got beat up by the Chargers really bad. And really how you have looked the rest of the season really isn't anything too special. Jameis Winston's looked all right, though. He's actually looked all right. All right. Then you have the Giants, number 24. They're up 1 spot. I mean, this is another situation where the Giants have been competitive in the games that they've played. Daniel Jones actually had an insane game. I thought he played really well for Daniel Jones, but it just goes to show how the rest of the team is. The rest of the team isn't very good. Offensive line isn't very good. You have Malik Neighbors, it's about it. But you really just played a Commanders team that is just straight up better than you. Straight up talent-wise, they're better on paper, this and that. And, the Commanders don't mess up. They don't screw up. They don't turn the ball over. They get turnovers. So, you kind of just ran into a better team that is really fundamentally sound, and that's what happened. But Jones did have a really nice day. It's all you can really get from this team, though. You know what I mean? It's all you can really get from the Giants. And Neighbors, but, and the defensive line can have its good weeks. But, really, this Giants team has too much to fix up, So, 24. Cowboys at 23, they're down 1. The Cowboys are what they are, man. I really don't know why you faked the punt, backed up in your own territory like that. That didn't really make sense to me. And your defense was playing well, felt like you were playing better, feel like kind of just handed them the game there at that point. Very disappointing. And Dak Prescott out the next couple of weeks too. So, yeah, not a good look for the Cowboys. So they're sitting here at 23. 22, you had the Bears. They're moving down 3. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the Bears, man. I mean, they had a couple of weeks there where it was like, wow, maybe the Bears are legit and this and that, but really, I'm seeing a Bears defense that I was kind of wrong about the first couple of weeks. I thought this was one of the better defenses in the league, and it can be, and it is, but only versus the worst teams. I mean, only versus bad offenses. I mean, when the Bears go up against good offenses, that Bears defense really struggles. And, I'm seeing a couple of interesting body language, those kind of things from the players on offense. Like DJ Moore, he just kind of walked off the field. He has some kind of hammy issue. He kind of just walked off the field in the middle of the play. I don't think Caleb Williams has this team. I don't think this team sees Caleb Williams as a leader. That's just kind of the vibe that I'm getting. And he's had good weeks, but kind of like the same thing at USC, is very inconsistent. And but yeah, I don't know why I say give me, but yeah, putting the Bears at 22, moving them down 3 spots. They were looking pretty hot for a little while there, but now, kind of coming back down to earth. And you look at the rest of their schedule, man. Oof, they have a difficult schedule. So we'll see. We'll see what the Bears can do. We're going to really see what this defense and this team in general is made up on. Is made up, is made up of. And you got the Colts at 21. Just, the Vikings just outlasted them, man. And with Joe Flacco in there, the run game isn't as dynamic. They're struggling to run the ball without Anthony Richardson. If Anthony Richardson was in there, probably would be able to run the football a little better. But at the end of the day, when the leader of your football team, the leader of the franchise, the face of the franchise, the supposed future of the city for football, it's not a good look to tap out and say, Coach, I'm tired, and take him out a week. It's just not okay. So I don't see Anthony Richardson starting or coming back in the rest of the year. It's going to be Joe Flacco, which means, the run game isn't really going to be there. Even though they have good receivers, I like the way Josh Downs has played, and the defenses look better, interestingly, as well. But offense, too inconsistent with either quarterback, and yeah, it's really, really just a consistency issue there over in Indianapolis, and a quarterback issue mainly. But number 20, the Jets. So they just put up a good win, a pretty good win versus the Texans. Now the Texans, they are very beat up. They're out. They're out the top 2 options, Diggs and Collins, both injured. Texans defense just wasn't there. Their secondary didn't play good this game. It just didn't feel like the Texans were there. And let's give props to the Jets, but they're moving on 3 spots as a whole from the last 2 weeks because they did lose to the Patriots, which is very interesting. But so yeah, losing to the Patriots, that's not a good look. I don't care who you are. I mean, the Patriots aren't a very good football team. They just kind of lost to the Titans. I don't know why I said they won versus. Did I say that they beat the Titans? No, they didn't beat the Titans. But I don't know why I said that. I'm kind of thinking about that now. But Jets, yeah, down 3 spots. You lose to the Patriots. That's a big stand on your resume. Just haven't really been, overall, haven't been a cohesive team so far this year. I do think the Jets will make a run in the second half of the season, but are they going to be a great team? Probably not. But I do think they'll make a run. I do think they'll make a run at the playoffs here, maybe for last spot in the wild card, because I don't see the Jets or the Dolphins catching up to the Bills. I mean, the Bills have just been incredible, and Jets and Dolphins too inconsistent to really catch up to them. So, but yeah, moving down 3 spots, but. I will say the win versus the Texans was a good sign. Even though the Texans were beat up, the Jets took advantage. After even though the first half I thought that the Jets' offense was pretty poor, but the second half it felt like they picked it up a little bit. But Yeah, overall, over the last 2 weeks, the Patriots really hurt them. But if they didn't lose to the Patriots, they'd probably be a bit higher. You lost to the Patriots. And remember, like I said, once again, we're incorporating the last 2 weeks into this power rankings. So, yeah. Broncos are down 1 spot after a rough outing versus the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens were just firing on all cylinders. Not really too much the Broncos could do about it. The beginning kind of foreshadowed the rest of the game. I mean, mistakes. You had the tipped interception. You have the turnover on downs twice. And the Ravens really didn't punish you too much when you did all that. So kind of like that was kind of your chance to, get a lead and get an opportunity to kind of, get a chokehold in the Ravens. And they just simply could not. And I do think the Broncos are better than 19 here. I just think that some of the teams above that are ahead of them are just better. I do think Bo Nix has had an all right day. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was horrible. This Broncos team has a bright future. I really think they do. They have a really nice defense. They let up 41 points to the Ravens, and the Ravens are one of the best teams in the league. They're just firing on all cylinders. Lamar and Henry, so difficult to stop, and then Zay Flowers on top of it when he has a day too. It's just a really difficult offense to stop. But at the end of the day, they lost, and they got killed. The beginning of the game was really foreshadowing to the rest of the game. So Denver, they're down 1 spot. You have the Cardinals, they're up 3 spots. I mean, they've had a really nice go at it lately. I mean, actually, no, I think I had the Cardinals at 23. So that is 5 spots. That is my apologies. We've definitely had a couple of mistakes this week again in the graphics. Gotta clean this up, guys. But Cardinals, I mean, they've been looking pretty good, man. I mean, their offensive line has been getting better every single week. Feels like they're running the football really well. I mean, the run game is strong. The tight ends have been great. And the defense as well. The defense continues to get better every week as well. So if the Cardinals can just continue to run the football and, not force Kyler Murray to throw the ball 30, 35 plus times a game, just, have him facilitate the game and have him make the big play when he needs to. This Cardinals team is dangerous down the line here. I think that they can make a nice run in the second half of the season and make a nice push for the playoffs, even though I believe they might be in playoff seeding currently. But the Cardinals, they've been a really good team, man. They've been inconsistent at times, but they get that run game going, and if their offensive line is firing on all cylinders, I mean, this is going to be a very difficult team to stop. They have a couple of nice weapons: Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and James Conner in the backfield. And then the defense, like I said, the defense has been playing really well, too. So Cardinals are a team that, I feel like they could beat anybody, but they can lose anybody. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting with the Cardinals at the moment, just because of, how inconsistent they've been. But as long as that offensive line is playing good, as long as, the game is going, as long as the offense is going through the run game, I mean, they'll be fine. They will be fine. They've been playing really high-level football, but so I do expect them to continue to rise up the rankings here. Now, at 17, you have the Seahawks. They're down 4 spots. I mean, tough couple weeks. You get beat up by the Bills pretty bad, and then you have a chance to come back and turn around and get a win within your division, and you simply couldn't get it done. Geno Smith had a couple night. I thought Geno Smith played pretty good. I actually think Geno Smith played a little better than Matthew Stafford in this game. It just so much happens, and Matthew Stafford, had the game-winning drive, and that's how the Rams won it. But the Seahawks, man, I mean, offensive line hasn't been great. JSN did step up without DK Metcalf. Without Metcalf last week, it was like, oh, what are the Seahawks going to do? But then JSN steps up this week. That was good. I saw that the Seahawks had a couple of opportunities to get turnovers. They just couldn't make it happen. So, it's a tough loss. You know, Matthew Stafford came out and he played his best ball when it mattered most, and the Seahawks were on the receiving end of that. So they're down 4-17, and the Rams are up 4-16, and it's kind of a little bit of the opposite of the Seahawks in some way. Well, offensive line wise, we'll just stick with the offensive line. Offensive line for the Rams, they're finding a rhythm, man. This offensive line is finding a way. They're getting better every week. Once again, another offensive line that's just getting better every single week. They're looking good. You know, they're really running the football, really good with Kyron Williams. And then Stafford, one of the best in the league, top 5 quarterbacks still, whether you are with me or not on that. I truly believe Matthew Stafford is still a top 5 quarterback in this league and this season as well. Yes. The throws that he just makes to the throw to DeMarcus Robinson and all the weapons that he's got. This Rams team is dangerous. This is another team that I feel like could beat anybody but could lose anybody. I feel like there's so many teams like that. And I feel like the Rams and the Cardinals are 2 of them. But the Rams, they've been looking good the last couple of weeks. So they're moving up 4-16, trying to move up in the better half of the teams in the NFL. And the Buccaneers are down 6 spots. I mean, you go on a losing streak and you're going to start dropping down pretty significantly. You did lose to the Falcons. I thought that was really disappointing. And then, now you put up a good game against the Chiefs, ultimately couldn't get it done in the end. The injuries can't overcome the injuries. Game gets to overtime. It was a good game. Sure, it was a good game, but they just couldn't finish it, man. So they're down 6 spots after a couple losses in a row. It's really the Atlanta loss that really pushed them down. Cause, even though I have Atlanta up a little higher, it may seem weird, but I don't think the Falcons are as good as 11. I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting a grasp on the Falcons. But nonetheless, that the loss of the Falcons and the loss of the Chiefs, couple losses in a row, while you have a couple other teams, winning, you can't really, got to move those teams up. So Bengals staying put. When Trey Hendrickson is on, when that defense is on, well, halfway, you still allow quite a bit of points to the Raiders. But when Trey Hendrickson is going and, Joe Burrow and that offense can get out to a quick lead, it's pretty much it. Joe Burrow has played lights out. I think he's played, as good as any other quarterback this year. He's right up there with the best in Mahomes and Allen, as he is every year he plays and is fully healthy. So, yeah. And then you know what? They got the run game going too. Chase Brown did pretty good. He set up the good day for the offense. Once you get that running game going, it just makes it that much easier for Joe Burrow and Chase. And with no T. Higgins in this game, that was something I was questioning as well. But regardless, the Bengals offense still got it going. Chase Brown got it going. I want to see Chase Brown continue to get it going. The Bengals need to get a run game going. Last couple of years with Mixon, that wasn't too much of an issue. Now you don't have Mixon. Is Chase Brown going to do it this week? Is that they don't really have that running back that they could lean on like they did with Mixon. But as you see today, or this past weekend when they had a running back that they can count on, they're pretty much fine. So Cincinnati staying put, but had a really nice week versus the Raiders. I think they're on a couple game win streak as well. Good for them. As we expected, Bengals always start poorly and then they find a way to claw into it. They find a way, and they're doing that right now. Chargers are up 3. This is a team that is just playing really good football. Coaching matters. Ask any Chargers fan. Coaching matters. Look at, this Chargers team always had good talent. It's just a matter of fact of, getting them ready and preparing them and having a head coach that can put them in good spots. And, Harbaugh has done that flawlessly. Derwin James is looking freaking incredible again. The defense is coming along. I think this defense is like the number one defense in terms of points allowed. I think they're ranked as like a top 5 defense or something like that. And then on the other end, you have Justin Herbert. You have a good run game. I mean, it feels like they're just playing good football. They're not making a lot of mistakes, and liking what I'm seeing from this Chargers team. So they're moving up 3 spots to 13. I do expect them to continue to move up, and I expect them to be able to, continue to contest some of the better teams in the NFL. So, even though they just beat the Browns, but they will. They will. So, number 13 up 3 spots. Nice week for them. 12, you have the Niners staying put. They were on a bye week, so just kept them there. Eagles are up 4 spots. They're finding a rhythm. They're finding their rhythm, and they're finding what works best for them. And going back to that year that they made the Super Bowl, what was it? Running the damn football. You don't want Jalen Hurts throwing the ball 30, 35 times a game. No, you don't want it because, you don't want him to be Superman. You don't want him to feel like he has to do everything because that's when Jalen Hurts doesn't play good football. That's when Jalen Hurts struggles. But when Jalen Hurts can bank off the run game and, you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and you have Barkley playing at the level that he has now. The Eagles don't have a run game. If they don't have Barkley, then, Jalen Hurts would be struggling, and I'll be worried about the Eagles team. But you got Barkley. You're getting that run game going, and the end of the game was a little concerning. I mean, letting the Jaguars get back into it. The Jaguars were really one play away from winning the game, but, so the Eagles' defense is something to definitely worry about, but they're on a pretty good winning streak right now, so I think it's about time I give them a little, a nice bump, even though, they've struggled at times, but they're finding ways to win the game in the end. Barely outlasting the Jaguars, barely. But they're on a nice winning streak. They're finding their rhythm. The defense is a little worrisome, but offensively, running the football, they still need to improve on third downs, yes. But as long as Jalen Hurts isn't being Superman, as long as you're not having him do everything and trying to have him do too much, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Falcons up 1 spot after a win over the Cowboys. Kirk Cousins, you look at the stats for Kirk Cousins. You just look at the stats. You say, hey, Kirk Cousins had a good day. But, if you really watch the game, I'm not too sure if he had that good of a game of how his numbers looked. But nonetheless, Bijan Robinson had a day. He looked great. Defense was able to make just enough plays, do what they needed to do, and lo and behold, the Falcons come on top. You ran the football really well. Still gotta work on that passing game. It's Darnell Mooney stepped up when Drake London went out. That was nice to see, but I want to see this Falcons team get the passing game and get a more of a deep passing game. Just something above like 5-10 yards. To be a little more consistent beyond that point in passing the football. Have not been able to. So, but they do get the win this past weekend over the Cowboys. Nice win. Can they keep it going? I don't know. Their defense has been sus at times, or, like I said, their offense has struggled on third downs. This is a team that I'm a little worried about going on the stretch of the season. I just think there are a couple things going on that are just like, are they fixable? I don't know. It's just Kirk Cousins hasn't been great, but he's been enough. But currently, they're winning, so I'm bumping them up 1 spot to 10. Steelers are getting bumped up 1 spot. They're on the bye week, just kind of how the board fell, I guess. So Steelers move up 1 spot. Texans are down 1. Disappointing. Very, very disappointing. And I may be being very generous here. At the end of the day, they did lose. But they had a lot of injuries. they need Nico Collins back. I believe he is going to be back for the Sunday night game, the Sunday night football game. I believe he will be back, so that would be a big boost. But that's not going to fix the offensive line issues. And the Texans have had big offensive line issues. Can they fix those? At this point, no. And Laramie Tunsil, I believe he was hurt too, so that's not good. But CJ Stroud, I mean, he doesn't have too much confidence in his receivers. It doesn't look like it to me, and I don't blame him. But yeah, they're down one spot. Really, really disappointing loss to the Jets. I mean, the Jets have been a team that has not been that good this year. And the Texans, and CJ Stroud hasn't been able to get going this year, but it's really due to that poor offensive line play and, the receiver play. And he hasn't really got much help other than Joe Mixon. Somehow Joe Mixon has still been able to find ways to make big plays on the ground, even though the offensive line looks like crap. But other than that, this offense really hasn't been too much helping CJ Stroud. So moving on to the Vikings at 7, you're moving down 3 spots. So they did beat the Colts, yeah. But don't forget, I am including last 2 weeks. And the loss to the Rams was pretty bad. It was really disappointing. Sam Darnold has kind of cooled off a little bit. Vikings offensive line hasn't been there. The defense showed up again versus the Colts, as it should have versus Joe Flacco, but they just really outlasted the Colts. They didn't really put the pedal to the metal. They didn't really finish the game. They didn't really put the game away. And, the Colts kind of stayed in it with a defensive touchdown, but other than that, it never felt like that the Colts got anything going offensively. And credit to that Vikings defense. It makes it so difficult, for post-snap reads. And just after the snap, it makes it so difficult on the quarterback. And Vikings did a good job. But they did just outlast the Colts. So it's something to keep a close eye on. The Vikings have not been as hot as they were the first 5 weeks it was. 5-0 start, coming out of the bye week, they haven't been as good. Offensive line hasn't been great, hasn't been there. But, yeah, moving down 3 spots to 7, let's see what they could do this upcoming week, see if they can finally have that dominating performance again versus the Jaguars, which is a pretty good opportunity to do so. Could be a trap game, though. The Jaguars have been interesting, to say the least. But the Vikings should be able to take care of business versus Jacksonville. So I do think that they will go there, and I hope they find their footing again. Because, they haven't been the same since the beginning of the year. They have not. So they're down 3 spots. Commanders. I mean, they just play good football. They play clean football. And, if they're better than the other team on paper, they are going to win. The opposing team has to have a better team on paper. Because the Commanders play such clean football. They don't give you extra opportunities off for turnovers. They don't turn the ball over much. They don't commit penalties. They don't make stupid mistakes. And Jaden Daniels with the deep ball has just been awesome. He's been incredible. Daniels in general has just been incredible. Can he stay healthy with a lean frame? That's kind of the big knock right now. We'll see. Has done pretty good so far. Had some kind of rib issue. Other than that, he's been pretty healthy. But the Commanders, the defense gets better every week. The offensive line plays well. It's just what happens when you have good coaching. You get the best of your players. You get put in the best positions to succeed. They fundamentally play really good football. That's why the Commanders are all the way up here at 6. I mean, they've beaten some good teams. They've struggled against some bad teams. Or they beat some good teams, but they've struggled against some really good teams, which is what I meant to say. Fine, that happens. But yeah, the Commanders being up here at 6, I think it's warranted. I really think it's warranted for them to be up this high. Then you got the Packers at 5. Just felt like they weren't as well equipped for the weather as the Lions were. And, you know, the receivers didn't really help Jordan Love. They had like 6 drops in the day. You know, like I said, they just weren't well equipped for this weather. They didn't really play as well in the weather as the Lions did. The Lions could still were able to do whatever they wanted to. But yeah, man, I mean, the receivers really didn't help Jordan Love here. Jordan Love didn't play his greatest game, but like I just said 3 times, receivers haven't played his greatest. They didn't really play too good in the red zone, and last but not least, they just played the Lions. And, the Lions are one of the better teams in football, and it's a difficult team to go up against and put up a good fight against for any team, really. The Lions are a tough team to beat. I don't think anyone can hang with them for 4 quarters. And the Packers, they weren't able to prove that they can this time around. But they're staying put. They didn't feel the need to move them below the Commanders or the Commanders up above them. So, yeah, sticking with them at 5. The Bills, although they are moving up 4 spots, it's just Josh Allen. Watching Josh Allen play now compared to the beginning of his career, it's just incredible. I mean, you look at the beginning of the career, Josh Allen just doesn't know what he's looking at. He's couldn't read a defense to save his life. Now, he's matured a lot in terms of, quarterbacking. He takes what the defense gives him. He did it all day long versus the Dolphins. The Dolphins had played 2 safeties high all game long and force Allen to, keep on dinking and dunking 6 to 8 yards a play. And Josh Allen said, of course, I'll take it. And I see a lot of people looking at his numbers and be like, hey, Josh Allen isn't playing this good, but I don't want to hear it. And you look at all the weapons that they have too. I mean, so many of them can make big plays. I mean, you have Khalil Shakir. Even without Amari Cooper, they had so many guys making plays. I mean, James Cook, yeah, he's great. You have 2 really good tight ends, and Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Knox can be a tight end or like a slot receiver or receiver anywhere, really. Khalil Shakir. They have Keon Coleman. There's so many players, so many playmakers. You can't just focus on one. And sometimes this, Josh Allen doesn't have to be the superhero. And when you have all these guys that make plays, you could kind of take the ball out of his hands at sometimes. That's huge. Josh Allen hasn't had this help in his career ever. First time where he really has all these weapons, and he has so many different ways he can go with the football. So, Allen is looking absolutely incredible. And their defense, they struggle a little bit. But at the same time, I still think they had a good day for the offense they were going up against. Tua coming back and that. And so, yeah, I can give him props to this Bills team. Moving up 2 spots, I think it's very, with Tua back too, that's an important note. They beat the Dolphins with Tua coming back. So, like I said, that's very important to note. But Bills, they're one of the more dominant teams in football. And Josh Allen, I don't think I really finished what I wanted to say about him. He's matured. And I feel like he's kind of mastered quarterbacking. Very accurate with the football. He can be late with his timing. He gets away with a lot of things because his arm power is so good. Allen just has it all. He knows exactly what he's looking at. He knows exactly where he wants to go. He could go to his second, third, fourth reads. And then of course he could tuck it. He could run with it if he needs to, and he will. So the Bills looking really good. They're up 2 spots to 4. And then the big dogs, top 3. Ravens, I mean, I was debating on moving the Ravens up over the Chiefs, but I can't move the 8-0 Chiefs below the Ravens. And, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't. Even though, a lot of the games have been close, they have played some really good teams, and they're 8-0. Doesn't matter how dominant they've been in their games, how convincing they've been, but they're going to make it count when it matters most. So, Chiefs are at 2, yes. And you may be thinking to yourself, all right, Chiefs, They're 8-0. You're not going to take it away from them. So why are the Lions above them? The Lions are just a better football team. They're just that much of a better football team than the Chiefs. I mean, like I said, the Chiefs are very good. Yes, you have Mahomes, of course. You know, you have a really good defense, really creative play calling. We know what the Chiefs are. We know they're 1, 2, or 3 all year long, for the most part. But the Lions are the most balanced and the most complete team of football, and I will say it every week. There is not another team in the National Football League that can hang with the Lions for 4 quarters. They were able to play much better in the weather than the Packers were, and as Dan Campbell said, they're built to play in those kind of games, in those muddy games, and those rainy games, and in those kind of weather conditions. The Lions are built to beat you in those conditions. Great running backs, offensive line is top notch, and even without Aiden Hutchinson, they've found a way to get pressure. They found a way to still, be competent in that line of the game. The Lions, man, I mean, they're deserving of number 1 over the Chiefs. They get number 1 in my rankings. Chiefs at 2, 8-0, yeah, but the Lions are just better than them, so that's why the Lions are ahead of them at 1. The Ravens, man, didn't really talk about them too much when, I kind of just moved to the Chiefs right away because I talked about them being, 8-0 and this and that, but, I mean, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and defensive-wise, do I really need to explain these teams too much? I don't think so. I think you guys know the story. I think you guys pretty much know these teams and know how good they are. So, yeah, those are my power rankings, my brand new look power rankings. And last but not least, before we get out of here, thank you to our members. Thank you to Marshman Gunner. Thank you to Red the Rat. I appreciate you guys for sticking around and being around. Always remember, it's not required to become a member. It's not required to join the channel in that way. I appreciate any support that you give the channel, just watching and giving a like, subscribing. That stuff is all free. Even if you don't do that, I still appreciate you watching. But you become a member, I appreciate it. It's not, never feel like you have to further support the show or this or that. But if you do, it does help. Everything I get from the show, I put right back into it. So, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. It was a good time. Let me know what you guys think of my power rankings. It was a little off. Felt like the week off kind of screwed me up. I don't know why. Just felt like I wasn't there talking wise. Just felt like it wasn't fully 100% for some reason. But we're back. And we'll get back to the regular rhythm, the normal rhythm. So I'll catch you guys next week for power rankings and in a couple of days for our weekly predictions. So I'll catch you guys later. JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.